Here, let's give the Lord a hand clap of praise. Watch your hands. Who knows these people up here on the panel? Are you going to find out? You're going to learn today. Man, I'm so happy to be here. It's been a long week, and this is my favorite part of the week. Just coming to this meeting, being able to hang out with my people, get some experience, strength, and hope, because I need it too, right? We all need it, right? So I'm excited, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to ask Sarah if she'll lead us with the Serenity Prayer. You ready? See if we can get it. All right.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm a grateful recovering addict. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as He did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that He will make all things right if I surrender to His will, so I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy forever with Him in the next. Amen.
Hey, wow. Wow. So listen, tonight is a testimonial lead format. And how many of you have been here for the first time? First time here? Welcome, everybody. So what we do here is I got a couple group rules I want to go over. One is it is a family-friendly environment, so we try to watch our language, be careful. When we bring the mic to you guys, we'll give you about 3 minutes if you want to share, give feedback to Miss Crystal. And then we ask that you would just refrain from cross-talking. So with that being said, are you guys ready for clean time? All right.
What's up, everybody? My name's Andy. So around here we like to celebrate clean time. So we'll start up this one off with, does anybody have 30 days they'd like to celebrate? What about 60 days? What about 90 days? Okay, 4 months. 5 months? Good, because we ain't have one in no way. 6 months? 7 months? Let's go, let's go. 8 months? Yep. 9 months? Let's go. Okay, 2 Congratulations, brother. What about 10 months? Okay. 11 months. What about a year? 18 months? 18 or better? Okay. So around here we like to do. Oh. Okay. Awesome. Congratulations.
Jesus.
Short and sweet to the point. The most important part.
I had 16 years to 17th of this.
Okay, man, let's go. Yeah, you about to know all about how she did it. Okay, so around here we do the most important one at the end. So if there's anybody in here that would like to come get this token for 24 hours clean and sober, please don't be ashamed. Come up here and get it. Is there anybody that has 24 hours? No? Okay, well, give God a hand then.
Appreciate it, Click. So congratulations, everyone, on their clean time. And this is the fun part for me because I get to introduce this amazing woman, this awesome woman, which you guys are going to find out for yourself. But what can I say about Miss Crystal? Number one, I'm rarely intimidated by humans. But when I met her, I looked at her and I was watching her personality. I watched her at work. She's a crisis intervention specialist. And that's a whole lot of words, but it means a lot of things. And not too many people could do what she does. What she does is amazing. She has helped save more lives in her sleep, I think, than I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things that she taught me, and she might not even know this because I haven't told her. One of the things that she taught me when I came into the field was when someone is coming up to us and they're talking about all their complaints and all their illnesses and the reasons why they might want to leave treatment or the reasons why they want to use. And she taught me to understand the difference between the disease or the enemy talking and the person. And that's a hard redirect to figure out. When you can discern people by looking on their hearts and know how this addiction disease works or your flesh works or however you want, whatever you want to call it, when you can see through that, you can see what someone really wants. And that kind of redirection takes a lot of skill, a lot of care, a lot of love, because it does get tiring in the field that we work in. And I've watched her do it over and over and over, and she's been doing it longer than I've been clean, y'all. So why don't y'all give it up for Miss Crystal Green? I'll let you tell her.
Hi, everyone. My name is Crystal, and I'm an addict. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I love you, too. So first off, just so God, Jesus, can put my ego out the way and let his word speak through me, because I really don't practice when people ask me to share, and I am a Narcotics Anonymous member. And I'm real grateful to you, Johnny, because when I spoke here 2 weeks ago, you incorporated it all. Absolutely. Because just like we talked about, there ain't no Presbyterians here up in heaven. That's where I'm going. I hope y'all going there too, because I accepted Jesus as my Savior, for real. And I'm so grateful to you to give the opportunity for me to come and share here. You really show that you're bringing the recovery community all together, and that's what it's about. So once again, for my ego to deflate, and I ask Jesus to speak through me, I just ask for a moment of silence. That's just for me, so I can get out the way. Thank you. Okay, so once again, I'm Crystal. Don't clap. It's one day at a time. Yeah. September 17th, 2007 was the last day I used. I was out there using for 21 years, only but by God's grace. And I have a Gigi baby that's 7 years old, and I've learned to respect children. Because I remember when Ava was learning how to talk, I did not think it was cute that she'd be talking about, Nana said, psh, F, or whatever, you know. So I'm asking the God of my understanding, Jesus, to help me because there's babies in here. Plus, I also believe in the facility you're in and respecting that. Does that make sense? Because see, me, I'm talking about Jesus who loved me in spite of me. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about is the grace that he showed me through my 21 years of using. But I'm not going to stay there because we all know how we got here. Hopefully you did. But I'm going to share about what Jesus has done for me and my recovery to get these 16 years because it takes work. And once again, I'm not here to throw the pathway on you because for real, God is doing something I didn't know he was going to do for me. I moved to Dayton, Ohio, July 31st. 7 years ago, 2016, I've been looking for a church home. I grew up in a Presbyterian church. There was a few black families in there. I went to a predominantly Lutheran school, graduated 3.79. There was like 10 blacks in the whole school. So I'm not prejudiced at all. And so I know I really am praying about this because I'm not leaving NA. Don't get it misunderstood. But I've also gone to a couple of churches in this area since I've been here to 7 years, and it just didn't fit. It just didn't fit. So I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. My parents had me and my older brother. I'm 62. I look good for my age. My birthday is February 5th, 1961. That's my story. You know, and I got a daughter that turned 34 years old yesterday. She told me about 5 years ago, when you gonna stop telling people how old you are? I said, Nicole, I'm not one of them mamas that's gonna be at 30 and people heard that 20 years ago. That's your issue, not mine. So anyway, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Me and my oldest brother. My parents divorced at the age of, I was 5, my oldest brother was 6, and we moved to Detroit, Michigan, right? And so always wanted to be dad's little girl. I always wanted to be dad's little girl. And my dad died to this disease, cirrhosis of the liver, that killed him in 1999. And I didn't understand why, even though my mom remarried. There was 12 kids, and my mom's the only one left out of her siblings. I have a mother that lives in Southfield, Michigan, is 88 years old. The only way she looks old is if you look at her neck. My mama look good. She work out every day. She be telling me, you too thick, you need to exercise. And I'm like, you only want to go exercise every day. That's not what I do, right? So I'm real grateful to have known why I couldn't be daddy's little girl. Every time we would go back to Cleveland, Ohio, which is where I told you I was born, that's where my mother's siblings lived, right? And every time I would go there, I would find my father in a bar, right? And it used to tear me apart because I felt my dad didn't love me. And then at the age of 12, I was violated by my stepfather. And I remember telling him, and it's not like today where some people overbeat their kids and you got CPS involved. Back in my day, like we had to go outside and get a switch, and if that one wasn't big enough, right? They went and got one, and you know that was gonna be way bigger. And I'm just talking about we got spanked, we didn't get beat. So I remember telling my father what my stepfather had done to me, and I got a spanking from my mom, and she told me, "You don't talk about that." Those of us who are older understand that I was raised on misinformed information. My mom did the best she could in raising me. I didn't understand that until I got into a program of 12 steps and did some step work, right? So my mom was raised, you don't talk about that stuff. So I was taught as a little girl at 12 years old to suppress stuff. Don't talk about it, right? And that led me for a whirlwind of using, because I blame my mom. My mom didn't offer me to my father. My stepfather, don't get it misunderstood. She told me we don't talk about that when I told him what he did to me. Does that make sense? We went to court, and the judge said something about I have two brothers. Well, let me go back. So when my mom remarried, we had my younger brother, Tony. When my dad remarried in Cleveland, listen, I got an all-white Caucasian brother, and that's my brother. My dad, my real dad adopted this. He married a Caucasian lady, adopted this little boy at 3, and his dad was not around. So that's my brother, for real. I was not raised to see black and white. I still don't see that. If we pull back our skin, we're all the same color. Does that make sense? And so anyway, we didn't get beat. We got spankings, and when we went to court, they told my mother that I could never go home without my two brothers. Like if they stayed for football practice, I had to stay. I couldn't go home and be alone with him, right? And it's something that I just decided not to ever tell my younger brother, who's 7 years younger than me, of what his dad did to me. You know what I mean? And I can remember when Tony started school, that's my younger brother, people were wondering why me and my older brother last name was Shears and my younger brother's name was Lacey. So that's when my stepfather legally adopted us. Because when my mom sent the paperwork to Cleveland to my real dad, remember he was an alcoholic and died of this disease, so he didn't fight for us. So that stopped the problem with the kids at school. And why is your brother's name? Because now we all got the same last name, you know what I mean? And I can remember going to college. Well, I graduated from a private Christian school, right? And see, this is what I know God's doing for me because I am looking for a church home. Once again, I'm not leaving Narcotics Anonymous, but I do need a place to join with Christians so I can get my spirit fed in a different way. Because in my fellowship, you can't say Jesus. In here, we praise the Lord. Hey, you see what I'm saying? And it's all a higher power, but I understand it because there's some people that don't believe. There's some people that don't know what they believe in, but you can't deny no addict, no recovery. And I'm so grateful, and I'm gonna pray to God to ask him, what is he doing with me? Does he want me to start coming over here? Okay, I work on Sundays, so y'all meet every Saturday, if I really want to know the truth, right, freeing myself, I told my sponsor and Don, if they call me and remind me, I'll start coming over here on Saturdays and meet with y'all from 6:30 to 7:30. It reminds me of that church. I grew up in the Presbyterian church. We was out of that church in an hour and 15 minutes, right? Don't disrespect all my aunts and uncles who passed on. They be in the Baptist church. You be there 3 and 4 hours. It's like, whoa, that is not what I grew up in. So I'm hoping God is doing something with me because I really need to get my spiritual body fed with religion. Does that make sense? So I really think with help, because I always know I need help. If y'all would do that for me, it would probably help me get this. You know how you go to 90 meetings in 90 days and then become a habit? That probably would help me get to a habit of coming over here every Saturday after my home group. Come over here and then bam, by winter time, they be on the top. They be like, hey, Crystal. I'll be like, what's up, y'all? Because I'll have a habit formed by then, right? So I'm asking for y'all to help me with that. I don't blame y'all though. I don't. Last Saturday, I got up at 6:45. Like, dang, I missed the meeting. Oops, I ain't driving across town now. So anyway, I don't want to glorify using. I do want to talk about some moments where I knew it was nothing but God, right? And I hope working in the field, I hope I don't take nobody to PTSD, for real. But I have to tell my story knowing how good Jesus was in my life. I know how he spared me, right? I was given Jeremiah 29:13 a long time ago, y'all. A long time ago. This is the plan I have for you. A plan of good and not evil to give you a future. I was given that verse a long time ago by God. And it was just my thing when sometimes we get in the radio, a certain radio when the trick came on and I'm out there doing what I do and I heard a spiritual song, I'd be like, we can't smoke right now. Wait a minute. I'm talking about the God that loved me and spared my life, right? And I already shared with y'all 2 weeks ago something that happened to me in recovery with the car, right? But I can recall the time where I went with someone to get some stuff, right? And the dope man's brother was in there. And he gave the guy some plastic off the wall. Now I'm like this. I wasn't going to rip none of my tricks off. I want you to come back to me. That's just who I was. And it really ain't no honest thing out there, but it was with me, you know. And I told y'all I've done it for a bag of bottles, so don't get it twisted, because in Michigan, you bet bottles turn in for 10 cents. I'd have done it for a bag of bottles, right? So I recall this time, and I don't want to go too graphic with these babies in here, right? And I hope I don't put nobody into at PTSD, but I got to remember how good Jesus was. This dope man's son, brother had a gun on my head, right? I'm just talking about me. God, please help me with this part, please. He went from back here to up here for 3 hours straight with this gun in my head. And I promised Jesus that I was going home on my son's birthday. It happened the next day after my son. And I really thought Jesus had turned his back on me. The grace and mercy ran out on my life. I met y'all. Guess what? God still loved me unconditionally. Because for 3 hours, first off, you can't do me back here. You can't. It just hurt too much, right? I'm just saying for me. And I remember this guy over me for 3 hours going back and forth, and sweating over me. And listen, all I know is I kept saying, Jesus, please help me. Please help me out of this situation. I'll never use again, please, God. And after 3 hours, this man passed out, right? Oh, he was a big old dude, right? And he kept smacking me in the face and stuff, telling me I'm sweating. His big behind was the one sweating, doing what he was doing to me. And Harry, stop crying. I wasn't crying. It's like your sweat on top of me. You thought I was going to stop and tell him that while this gun was to my head? And I really thought that was my last day on the earth. You know, and I remember when he fell asleep, right? I didn't mess with his gun. The dope, the crack was right there. I ran out of his house butt naked. And I can remember seeing a police car come down through the hood. And all I remember, can you imagine when he saw me, 60 pounds, skinny, to his car, nothing on. And all I know is that police officer rolled up his windows on my arm, right? And I remember back then in the days we had phone booths. I went to the phone booth, called my sister-in-law, Colette, and told her, bring one of my brother's shirts and don't bring my niece and nephew. And Tanya, that's my sister-in-law, came. She's been married to my brother 25 years. And she came, right, and had a shirt, The Disease of Addiction, the devastating, violent, destructive force. All I could do was put that shirt on, ask her for 20 cents, ask her for $20, and you know what I did? I called the dope man for one more. I'm talking about the devil. As God done spared your life, Jesus done saved your life for 3 hours you've been with this man. All I could do was get high to take away the pain. And I'm real grateful that my sister-in-law, she ain't gonna give me no money now though, but my sister-in-law loved me enough that, you know what she told me? We need to go to the police. You ain't, you know, in that situation, you ain't going to the police to be talking about the dope memory. You ain't gonna do none of that, right? And so I'm real grateful for Jesus to spare my life, y'all, because I still use 7 years past that. There was many times I thought I reached the bottom just to find there was a trap door up under there for real. And see, I could be honest with God because God loved me unconditionally. I don't know what Jesus y'all serve, but I know who I serve. And I accepted Christ in my heart a long time ago. Now that don't mean grace and mercy don't run out on life, because before we get out of here, somebody's gonna die from a disease of addiction. Don't mean they ain't going to heaven, but grace runs out. And I just wanted to share that with you because the devastation of the disease and the power of the devil and that driving force, the primary purpose is to kill Crystal. The grace of God allowed me to go to treatment 10 times. I'd have been to every jail in Michigan, for real. I really have. You know what I mean? And the time didn't run out of my life because Donnie, God had a purpose for me. And I didn't know it. I didn't know why my dad could not be there for me until I became an addict and understand he had a force that took his life, that he could not be a dad to me. It wasn't that he didn't want to. Then to turn around and do the same thing to my 2 children. My daughter just turned 34 yesterday, and I have a 38-year-old son. I'm a bomb mom to 2 adult kids today. I have a G baby that's 7 years old that loves me. You know what I'm saying? Only because of God. Only because of Jesus in my life. Who would have known? It's something that I want to share with y'all. My daughter came up here to live with me. I moved from Michigan 7 years ago to Dayton. And my daughter asked me, Mom, I want to ask you a question. I came home from work in Woodhaven. And she said, Mom, if you weren't an addict, you could do your life all over again, would you? Guess what I told my daughter? I told her no. I would do the same thing. She said, she had tears in her eyes. You wouldn't raise me? I said no, because it allowed me to get to the purpose of what Jesus had for my life. I had to go what I had to go through to get where I am today. I would not change it. Do you hear what I'm saying? Listen, I done slept with over 400 men and I ain't got no disease. You think it was with a rubber? Ain't nothing but God. I am not a HOE. I am not that. Drugs turned me into that. God had a purpose for my life. That's why I'm still here. And I had to go through what I had to go through to get to the other side because of his grace and mercy over my life. Not that I deserved it. Crystal falls short of the glory of God. I don't know about y'all. I fall short of the glory of God. I got the Spirit on me right now. I know it ain't nothing but God in my life. I know it ain't. And I had to go where I had to go. I'm grateful I didn't die to this disease like my dad. I'm real grateful. And when I was 6 months clean, he died. And I picked up in Cleveland, Ohio. Don't even know who I was smoking crack with. I was in somebody's basement because I know what it looked like. And I know what it looked like I can date. And I ain't got high here yet. But I know what it looked like. You can't tell me what I look like. I've been there and I understand. But God gives me this free will, right? This choice, right? And he's been nudging at my spirit because when I told y'all 2 weeks ago that I don't talk to God, that's not true. I don't get on my knees to pray, but I talk to my higher power. I talk to Jesus all the time. And I'm grateful. I'm not knocking how your relationship with God. I'm not knocking what you do with Jesus. I'm not. Please don't get it misunderstood. But Jesus meet me right where I'm at. Guess he didn't want me to be a pastor's wife, right? We'll see what comes down the line in that. But I'm just real grateful because it really tore my spirit up when I left and said, Crystal, you told me you don't pray. No, you should have told me the whole story. I pray wherever I'm at. And it ain't so much about, I told y'all, I don't get on my hands and knees like I did when I was in treatment. I prayed with my cigarettes. I prayed on the way here. While I was sitting up here with y'all, I prayed and asked God to allow him to share a message that he wants me to. God is with me all the time. I pray before I go into work, no weapon formed against me, because I have a real stressful job. I like some of my coworkers. I love, oh my God. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's someone special in my life. But God. But God. Okay, I can't give you all the attention about Jesus right now. I got you afterwards, girl. So I'm so grateful that I can be real transparent with you because I do believe in Jesus. I was and am a child of God. I know that my soul is a place up in heaven for me. I just ain't trying to get there no time soon. But whenever our purpose is done on this earth is fulfilled, we all got to go home to the glory of God. Because they say to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And it's something that I know is coming, but I just don't want to do it no time soon. Okay, God, you hear me? Okay. I got you, girl. You know, and I'm so grateful, and that's the wonderful thing I think about some people that I come into their lives. Like Donnie, for real, I take no credit for what I do for our clients. I give them the information, they got to do the work. But I keep it real. If you're ever in my circle or get my phone number, talk to you, you'll be like, you know, like if a friend don't tell you what you need to hear, you got the wrong person. You feel I'm looking dead at you. I'm sorry. Let me scare somebody else. But she like, maybe it was a moment for you, girl, because you was real comfortable in that part. But here's the thing: it's a two-way street. Call me out on my BS. Please don't let me die clean. Please don't let me die clean. Please don't let me forget who saved my life. It's something that God just told me to share right now. It's like, if my mom was sitting here, I couldn't be as honest with y'all. Because my mom is this normal person to think it's her fault. She didn't have nothing to do with that. You raised me the best you could. You put me in a predominantly Lutheran Christian school and paid $1,000 back in 75 through 79. I graduated in 79. So my mom gave us the best life she could, not knowing, like I said, what my stepfather had in motive. But once I told him, it stopped because we went to court and knowing she did the best she could. You know, she did the best she could. But my mom is embarrassed because she raised me better. And if y'all know what I know, it ain't got nothing to do if you was rich, poor, black, white, gay, straight, prestigious, silver spoon in your mouth. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Disease don't care nothing about that. And my mom takes it real personal. And the one thing I know my sister-in-law was telling me, I love your story, Crystal, because you always refer to Jesus. You don't never take credit for none of this. I do the work, right? Because I got a choice. But I give credit to God for what he's done in my life. It ain't nothing but God. It is not me. I've done the work. You have to do the work to stay in recovery. You know what I'm saying? But I give all thanks and praise to God. And that's the wonderful thing that my mother doesn't understand about my testimony is that I wasn't ashamed when I was on the street doing what I do for $2. So I'm not going to be ashamed of what God did for me. But she don't get that, and that's okay. And I've learned to respect my mom because of her age and the respect I have for my mom. The recovery has taught me that I won't tell my story. So I never invited her to meetings or nothing like that. Because it's just too much for her, and she thinks it's her fault. You ain't had nothing to do with it. But check this out. After the 5th treatment, my mom let me go, and she prayed for me. So she did take a part in that. My family did a lot of praying for me. They covered me out there. They let me go. They tough love me, even clean, even coming out of treatment centers. They would, I'm going to come into their house. But I know my mom's prayers, and some of my aunts and uncles, may they rest in peace, their prayers got me up here. Their prayers got me to recovery. My mama believed in Jesus. I know what she do because that's how she raised us. And I'm so grateful and thankful to God, right? But it's only because of his grace. And it's like when Jesus went amongst the thieves, the sinners, he wasn't like, I'm better than them. I can't go around them. Now, I'm not going out there if you get high. I ain't. I got to protect my recovery. But it don't mean our moment of silence, we don't pray for somebody because you guys prayed me up in here. Does that make sense? Our true moment of silence that we have, we praying another addict and alcoholic up into this fellowship. You know? And I'm real grateful to my mom because she did play a part in that. But I'm so grateful I could be genuine and like Donnie knows about me at work with clients, with my coworkers, like me or love me. I ain't there for you to do that, and I can't tell you I love you. But I keep it 100 because God keeps it 100 with me. I don't have to come up here and act like I'm a holier than thou. Where y'all gonna sit in the royal kingdom? Up at the front, we all gonna be amongst the same, amongst Jesus Christ. Ain't no sections here and sections there. That's just what I believe, and I ain't been there, but I know I'm going there, if that makes sense. And I'm so grateful to be a part of. I'm so grateful to be a part of a loving God that I can honestly, like I said, God might be doing something in my life for real and finding a church home. I work on Sunday through Thursday. I ain't leaving in 8 for the 3rd time. I'm not. But I know there's more. There's this religious side, there's the spiritual side. You know what I mean? The recovery, and we have to respect places. Like in Indiana, I cuss my butt off unless there's kids there, because I learned that from my G baby. You know what I mean? I have to respect the sanctuary, and I'm so grateful that I don't have to be transparent and act like I'm something different than I'm not. And that's where let me tell y'all about the devil. Let me tell y'all about the devil, right? Especially when you give your testimony, he come after you more. He mad. He ain't like, yay, tell about how good Jesus is. That ain't what the devil wants us to do. He wants to be quiet and be ashamed and be embarrassed to talk about Jesus saved our lives. Jesus changed my life. And when we give our testimony, he come at us, right? And so God already knew, because Donnie told me 2 weeks ago after I did the panel, he was going to try to fit me in, and he did, and he confirmed it last week, right? I got sick. Not with COVID, don't get it misunderstood. Wednesday, I got sick, right? And I pushed through work Thursday. I didn't have a fever. And then what I had to do Friday and up until today when I went to my home group, I stayed at home and took care of me. You know what I mean? It's just me and Jesus in my house. I'm still waiting on my husband. Don't forget that part, y'all. I ain't pimping up in here. Don't get it twisted, right? You know what I'm saying? But I live by myself because my family's in Michigan. So I understood to take care of me. You know why? The devil didn't want me to come share today. This is the best time I've felt since Wednesday. And I knew that once you get through work, take care of you, Crystal. The devil was like, no, keep going to eat, just run around. No, the only thing I kept doing was answering my phone. But I literally took care of me. And I found out you don't drink orange juice, you drink water. That flushes out your body, all the impurities or infection or whatever's going on. Water is better. Did y'all know that? I learned that at my age. Water is better than orange juice, right? So I'm real grateful to know that the devil was defeated today. Because where am I standing here? Giving God the praise and thanks for what he's done in my life. I'm telling y'all what I know. The devil was like, you ain't speaking. Keep running. You lawyer your responses. You go to meetings. I'm like, trick no good. Watch this. And guess who I called out to? Jesus. If it's your will in my life, please allow this to pass so I can come and share how good you are in my life. God is awesome, man. I could ask him for the simple things. God knows me, right? Think I'm funny, think I'm not. I'm going to smoke a Newport 7:30. With every puff, God, please don't let me get COPD or cancer. I can't hide it from him. I'm not trying to hide it from him. I didn't have to hide it when I was out there using. I told y'all how there were many stories where I know but Jesus saved my life when I was out there using. I'm going to share with you. I'm not embarrassed to say I done slept with 400 men. I'm not an HOE. Don't turn me into that. I stood on the corners. I sold my body. That was God to cover me. You think I got a rubber? No, I'm not going to short the dough, man. That was God to cover me. I didn't take, will you take an STD check, please, before we do what we do? No, it was like, well, how much you want? How much you got? Let's do this. Because the devil, the disease. And see, I'm a woman of God that ain't afraid to tell what I've been through. Because it's about how can you identify with other people if you want to, I'm not talking about nobody in here, I'm talking about me and how comfortable I am and who I used to be. But what I know I am, I'm delivered through Jesus. I'm saying for me, and ain't no testimony worth not telling what your God done did for you. Because he already know what you did. Are you really thankful? Or do you sugarcoat it so it ain't that bad? I never did that. Oh, really? I done did it all. You have not done any things I've done in my 21 years of using. It's called heed the message. You ain't got to do it because I done did all. Listen, no sexual identity. I don't even know. God, can I go here? Yeah, okay. I like to, this is just my narrative, and they say speak and deliver is your own way, and I like to have fun with it, but I'm real sincere because I keep it 100. I don't do women. Don't say, yeah, you do. That stuff was so good. I made a promise to God I'll never do that again. I do not want to lay with Samantha instead of Sam. And I'm just saying for me. But that disease the devil had me so far gone. You got the money, how much is it? You know, and I'm not ashamed of that. Does that make sense? Because I know there's other women who can identify that, and we ain't got no sexual identity. God love us all, so please don't be like, oh, Crystal said because I'm gay, God don't like me. No, I did not say that. I'm talking about my story. And right now, God has me in a celibate place in my life. Because I got to love him more, so God is sending the right person in my life. I've been in relationships, but they didn't last. Because as I continue to grow in my recovery, I had to get to a place where I can't allow you to drag me no more because I know what it is and I'm living in a fantasy that this is going to be so good and it wasn't. And I was miserable inside and God kept saying, danger, there's still danger. And I'm like, oh God, it's okay. No, it ain't. And so I don't understand right now other than God wants me to put him as his husband, make him my husband. And God said he will fulfill all of my heart's desires. That's the God I serve. That's the God I serve. And I'm 62, so after 5 minutes, we got to be doing something else because it ain't going to last that long. And if that's all it's about is what we do in the bed, what kind of relationship we really got. How about the thing that deals with friendship and getting to know each other without our emotions and feelings because we're attached now? Does that make sense? I can't believe I told y'all that.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Wow, I know. Can you believe I told you? It's like, wow. Okay. See, but hey, it's the God in me. It's the God in me. Remember, I asked God to let whatever he wanted to flow out, come out. I didn't plan on saying that. And I'm like, really, God? He said, yeah, tell him the truth. Because if you keep doing that, I might give you your blessing. But you keep getting in the way. And so I'm real grateful for this time as I'm getting to know me because you attract who you are. Oh, y'all should have seen that part in these 16 years. Is that what I really am? I'm going to live in a fantasy and make you something you ain't. Hey, got great enough. Bye, boy. I pay my own bills. Bye, boy. And it's no disrespect to the men in here. But I have to get to a place where I know I'm a queen. And I have to demand to treat myself like that. And I'm not tolerating that from nobody else. You know, does that make sense? You know, then I love my sponsor. She says, well, maybe God don't want you to be with nobody. I'm like, that's your story. That ain't mine. That is not my heart's desire. And I love her. I love my sponsor to life. You know what I mean? So I'm real grateful. I have so much gratitude, you guys. Something that I've been praying about a long time is that I have a 38-year-old son. I told you my baby girl turned 34 yesterday, and we've had a strained relationship, right? And I'm past the point of trying to make my daughter do what I want, but some of her decisions have, without doubt, she is not no addict or alcoholic, have been not healthy choices. So she made a decision to move to Atlanta 7 months ago, right? And as I got healthier, my sponsor had me work on just call Nicole once a month and say, how you doing? I love you, and are you okay? And hang up the phone. Because even in the 16 years I've been clean, my daughter's story is so different than my story. And I have to allow her truth to be her truth. So in this process of doing this, before she moved, I had to mute the phone because everything she said is so distorted. And so my sponsor said, you got to let her truth be her truth, Crystal. So I'm like, Nicole, that is not what happened. I didn't move to dating for no man. You know, whatever it was. And so in order for me not to say anything, I had to mute it. And I was saying stuff through the phone, but you just couldn't hear me. So she could say her story. You know what I mean? And I'm so grateful for that blessing because I've been praying with my daughter. And I go home the first weekend of every month. That's something that's in my job. The promotion I got, the CDCA 6 years ago. Now I'm crisis intervention specialist. And I'll see my daughter. I haven't seen her in 7 years. I'm picking her up at the airport this coming Friday.
I know that's right.
Yeah. Nothing but God. Nothing but God. And no, we're not going to be Jan Brady and Marsha Brady. No, we're not. We're not. But just to have learned how to be healthy with her. I don't want to know what you're doing. I just want to know if you're alive and you're okay. And I'm really grateful because I know God will heal that relationship. My son has always been one of those, like, you know how boys are close to their moms, they love you. My daughter has gone through a lot of hurt caused by me, caused by my mom, caused by her dad dying. She was a daddy's little girl. I was not there. I was getting high, I told y'all, remember? I showed up at the funeral, but I was gone after that, right? And she caused her a lot of pain in her own choices as an adult. And God had to remove me out the way and teach me how to love her, but keep it minimum, if that makes sense, so we can get healthier. Because, see, my daughter throws my past in my face and call me a crackhead, and you just ain't gonna call me no crackhead no more. But I learned in this process of recovery, I don't have to justify none of that. All I gotta do is stand in my own truth and tell you I'm not doing that. And there was a time Nicole be, what do you mean you ain't doing that? I just wanted to comment, because she know what that means. You're a grown a woman. You know what I mean when I say I ain't doing that no more. I can explain it to her like I would do my 7-year-old grandbaby. You know what I mean? So I'm real grateful and looking forward to seeing my daughter this Friday. I haven't seen her. She looks just like me, but she's really healthy. She works at Delta Airlines. She works out. She's a personal trainer, and she looks just like me, about 5 shades darker. She's beautiful. Thanks for calling me beautiful, y'all. No, I'm just joking. But if Nicole walked in here, you would know that's Crystal's daughter because she looks just like me. And I'm real grateful because there needs to be a lot of healing on her part, but I'm not responsible for your healing. I can't even say I was there to raise them in their church, but I know they knew God and they know God, and I have to allow their process. But one thing I do is pray for all of us, including my daughter, that God protect her and keep her safe. Does that make sense? Because the same God that protected me when I was out there using will cover my baby girl. Because I don't want one of my stories to be like I'm burying my child. You know, some of her decisions but she's a grown woman, so I got to let her go through her process, and it has nothing to do with dope. Does that make sense? When we get out the way. And that's what I know I've done in my life right now for the last 2 years, is got out of the way and let God do what he did. And Sarah's one of my sponsees. There was a time when I moved to Dayton, had nothing to do with you, that I didn't think women saw anything because I had 2 sponsors and they fired my butt. And now God has put 3 women in my life again. And my sponsor just kept telling me, you just keep showing up and God's going to show you what he needs you to do. You know what I mean? And I'm so grateful and I love you for that. That's a wonderful opportunity because when you build relationships with women and they move on, maybe because you can't help them anymore. Because one of the ladies in the area, right, and my grand sponsor is sitting in here, right? She didn't love her sponsor. She just needed some more. And her sponsor gave her all she could. So she came into my sponsorship, but I always take it personally. What's wrong with me? When it ain't got nothing to do with you. Does that make sense? Like when I moved from Michigan to Dayton, I had to get another sponsor because I need my sponsor to see me. I could tell my sponsor at home, I'm doing fine. I'll be all messed up because she's 3 hours away and can't see my face and she knows me. So I had to say thank you for the 8.5 years you helped me on this journey, but I need a sponsor at home. But see, I think it's always about me. And I'm real grateful because what I was sharing about is that I'm getting out of God's way, allowing him to do whatever he does in my life. Because the 3rd step say, your will in my life, in all areas. Is it easy? No. But see, this is what I know about Jesus. I want to drive a Volkswagen, and he got a Bentley over here. But I'd rather stay over here and drive the Volkswagen. Who does that? When he got the best for me. All I got to do is stay out the way because I trust him. He saved me. I have evidence in my life. Does that make sense, y'all? I know what God got for me. I know what Jesus got for me. Crystal, why? Because see, I'm in the flesh and I got self-will. God said he won't make you do some stuff, but he will love you, but you can do it your way if you want. Bump your heads a couple of times. That's the Jesus I serve. And I just need to surrender and give it all to him. Does that make sense? And that's where God has me in the last, for real, 2 years of my life. Just staying out the way. Just staying out the way. And just doing what I direct you to do. Like I had no idea, and this is my last minute share, and I thank God. I told you I didn't leave the house today when I went to my home group. I ain't been home yet since 11:30. They had an event I went to. I came over here. I went to my home group first, and then my sponsor asked me to meet her somewhere at 8 o'clock. So God's will, we'll see how that works out. But she wanted me to be of service tonight at the event they're having. I can go get my hour. I had no idea because there was a conversation for change that one of my sponsees told me about this morning. I told her, I can't go. I got to come over to Overcomers this year. Guess where I was right before I came here? The conversation for change, supporting her. God's will, not mine. You know, I'm real grateful for this opportunity to share it with you guys. I hope that something that I share touched one of y'all hearts. But I know it's all about Jesus and what he's done to turn my life around. And I know he's doing a wonderful job in you guys' life. All you got to do is trust and believe. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Wow. I just love Crystal. Y'all love Crystal?
Yeah.
Man, she just keeps it real. Like, very few people I meet that can keep things honest. She gonna tell you when you ugly. You know? She gonna tell you. And I like to surround my people, like my people today that's in my close circle. I like to surround myself with people that are not just yes men. That they're gonna check me when I need check. And I promise you, she's one. And she loves the Lord, but you don't want to test her gangster. I promise you that. Jeremiah 29, man. I love that. I love that. She mentioned Jeremiah 29. I have plans for you, says the Lord, to prosper you, not harm you. But I got a plan for your life. So, how do you know God has a plan for your life? I'll tell you, my first sign that God had a plan for my life is after all the things that she talked about she had been through. She's still breathing. You're still here. It's not just survival at some point, but when I surrender myself to God, I've gotten to the point where I'm not just surviving no more. Yeah, I've been through some things. We've been through some things. But we're thriving today. We're living today. We are walking epistles and testimonies to what God can do when you turn your life over to Him. And that's why we have Crystal here tonight. I want to take a few minutes for you guys to give feedback. Let's love on Crystal. Talk about whatever you have that you want to talk about. If you have a prayer, a question, anything. Now's your time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah McGraper, recovering addict.
Hi, Sarah.
How about this woman, man?
God.
We've only been working together for a short time. But when I tell you, you taught me so many things, and just since May. You taught me how to set boundaries and hold them. You taught me how to accept my mother for who she is and know that she's just done the best she could. You've helped me not bully my way back into my kids' life, right? And just love them. I'm trying not to cry, right? But like, you taught me that it's okay not to be okay. You taught me to love trusting the process. I'm learning how to believe in myself again. Not just because other people believe in me, but I actually have a woman that pours into me, that don't judge me, that has similarities in her story. I'm not ashamed of who I was before, because I know I'm not that person no more, but you've also helped me to know I don't need to forget where I came from. You taught me that I'm no better than anybody else. And I thank you for that. Like, you taught me to keep fighting for my life. You know? Like, you've been getting on to me the last couple of weeks because you haven't seen me in a meeting. And I do need to get better, right? Because I just moved into my own place today. Like my real recovery about to start. I asked God to take away my ego, don't let my head get big, because He's blessing me, right? To bring me closer to Him. And the more that I work with you, the more that I just keep loving on myself and kind to myself, the easier it gets. Like, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, but it's the simplest. And it's so worth it. Like, I can look at myself today and not be ashamed. Like, you've helped me with that, Crystal. Like, I thank God. Like, prayers get answered, y'all. Like, a lot of you know, like, I had a male sponsor and it just wasn't working out. And I was praying to God, bring me a woman that I could trust. And when she shared a couple weeks ago, I said I didn't trust her. But like, I know without a question, you'll be there. Like, you'll be there. I know when you tell me you love me, you love me. And I love you, Chris.
I love you too. I love you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hey, I'm Ramon, and I'm Ned. I want to say thank you for being obedient to God, because if you wasn't, I would have never met you back when I was trying to get it right. I remember, you trying to talk some sense into me not going back home. I eventually went home, but and the thing that resonated with me is when you talked about purpose. Like, when I first met you, I didn't think, the circle would come back around, and like, I just want to say thank you for, our one-on-one talks, because, it helps me. I know I talk to my sponsor, and, like, I have a support network I talk to and stuff, like, but yet, when I talk to you, you shed some light that you wouldn't get nowhere else. And I appreciate you keeping it real and, uncut, So with that, I pass.
It's God. It's God.
Who else would like to share?
Hey. Oh, I think. My name's Lorette. I'm an addict. I like the part in your. Well, I liked your entire story, but I really like the story when you were talking about like your kids and how you have to forgive yourself. Like I have 3, and these 2 were 3 and 18 months when I dropped them off, and I just got them back into my life this year. So it's all new. I don't even know how to parent them. Like, they're not the same kids I dropped off when they came back. I'm like, who are you? And so, like, it is a learning process, and it does take time, and, like, the guilt that comes with it, and the aggravation, and the, like, it is very real, but just sticking and staying and praying, it really helps.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. I really, my name's Keenan. I can not relate to some of what you said, but my sister, she lost her father. He killed himself because of drugs and losing her and my mom. And then my sister was then later abused by my dad. And she told me, and I struggled with that for a long time, with that for a long time, and as it were with the drug addiction, I'm glad you've got 16 years. I've got almost 11 months.
Congratulations.
And I couldn't do it without God. Couldn't do it without Jesus. And I couldn't do it without the patience and that He gives me. They give me. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Keenan.
Hi, I'm Christina, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. And I just want to tell you that although our stories aren't the same, they're very similar. And I've almost lost my life several times. And if it wasn't for the grace of God, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And my heart goes out to you, and I love you, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you so much.
My name's Bill, and I'm a grateful
Hi, Bill.
recovering addict. I want to thank you for sharing your story. So, and especially the part like by God's grace. So, like, I get emotional too. So, like, but like today, man, my brother hung himself in 2010. I get to see his daughter here tonight, and that's by God's grace. And this meeting, every time I come up here, man, it's something that I need to hear, and I appreciate you sharing. Thank you.
Welcome. Love you, Billy.
Yes, God.
You know, Crystal, I kind of relate in your story. Raised in a good Christian home, you know, if you realize, you know a very person very, very, very close to me. You work with him a lot. And he's the one that dropped me off and said, no more. And it broke his heart, leaving his little brother behind. And you know the heart he has. A lot of people in here know the heart he has. And you know, I was just texting him a minute ago, and he told me to tell you hello and he loves you. And how awesome that was that you were here. And you know, that journey is weird. And you know, you'll find out God's not done. I ran 40 years. Next week I'll have 9 years sober. And to celebrate with him, and now come April or Easter, I'll be ordained into the ministry. All right. And so he and I can serve together. And you know, it's funny in that process because he loved me enough to say no more. He loved me enough to walk away. He loved me enough to say, I can't let you hear anymore. But the beautiful part of that is the reconciliation. And I'll finish with this. I was sitting in Greene County Jail. I'd done my 67 days. I was raised with a silver spoon in my mouth. And I ended up, never did laundry till I was 30. And I tell that for this reason is because I ended up in jail. Guess what my job was? I did laundry. Because God's got a sense of humor. And so my parents had come to visit me, and they came every week. And the last night they said, there's somebody special here that came to see you. And I don't know if you've ever met Beth in that process as his wife. But we walked in, and Beth was the one that told me I can never live at home again. And she walked in, she said, I know you've been wondering where you're going to live when you get out. I had abused my wife. I'd thrown her through the wall of a trailer. And she said, and I figured with my brother's connections, he's like, oh, I'd go somewhere. She said, no, that's not what's happening. I said, did you get a grant to get me a deposit? And she said, no, that's not what's happening. And I said, well, then what's happening? She said, your brother and I have decided you're coming home. 18 months later, I sat on the front porch, and he said, it's time for you to go home. I said, I am home. He says, no, you need to reconcile with Danny. I said, I don't know if I got a home. I picked up the phone with trembling hands, and all my wife said is, the door's open, and I love you. Tonight, she's not feeling well, or she'd be here with me. But, you know, the beautiful part of that is she said, I always knew who you were on the inside. And, you know, it's funny. I'm here. We're going to be trying to start a new recovery ministry at my church over on Valley. And, you know, it's funny how God took me from the drunk that yelled and screamed and beat his kids and showed up on Sunday and led a youth choir and was so fake that didn't know anything to the man that weeps. When my nephew, I got to lead my nephew to Christ. Both of them. I got to see people recover and live through this disease. And I'm not ashamed of what I was anymore because I don't have to be there anymore. And you know, the beautiful part, the other day I was at work and this young guy was just shaking outside and he had an AIDS. I gave him a sandwich and I said, I said, what's up? And he told me and he says, nobody loves me. And I said, that's a lie. I said, Jesus loves you. And he goes, Jesus can't love me after what I said, son. Oh, yes, he does. And I told my story. And I told my brother's story. Many people here have heard it. And the beautiful part about that is that man went back to Columbus. And Monday night, this coming Monday, he'll check in to the refuge to begin his journey of recovery. Now, that had nothing to do with me. I was just a conduit. But the beautiful part is that that's what this recovery is about. Whether you got 1 day, 1 year, 20 years, 50 years. It's just about, the only difference